Welcome back, South Philly Sauce, an Audacy original brought to you by 94 WIP and Jack Daniels. Ashlyn now here with you. The playoffs are still in full swing. It has been awesome to watch, and some Flyers news going on as well. Of course, Mitch Cobb is what everyone wants to talk about. We have no update, but once we have an update, we'll let you know. But as of now, the biggest news, Al, is Travis Konecny and his pending contract. From everything we're hearing, both sides want to get this done, hopefully before the season starts. And I don't even really think it's a question of whether TK is going to stay here. It's how long is this deal going to be? We're hearing the max possibly of 8 years. What's it going to cost the Flyers? But he's just the perfect age at 27 to relate to the young guys, relate to the older guys. And I just feel like this has to get done.
It probably does, Ashlyn, but I don't know about some of the numbers you're seeing, like $10 million a year, in 8 years. Now, don't forget, this would kick in not this year. It's been an extension to a couple of years left on the contract. I just don't want him to go into a year as a pending free agent, if you will. And of course, everything always goes back to Mitch Cobb, right? It's like, all right, so this seems like a lot of money, but then you consider if Mitch Cobb doesn't come over this year, when he comes over, he'll be on an entry-level contract, which means the Flyers have a lot more money to spend on other players, presumably Konecny be one of them. The other factor is, although Mitch Cobb piled up points as a right wing, can transition to center. If he transitions to center to have a right wing like Konecny, it's pretty impressive. And it would change a lot of dynamics. So there's a lot to consider in this, and not the least of which is, as you mentioned, I think he really likes it here and wants to stay here. And now he's part of the Travi with Sanheim.
Right.
So they give Sanheim money to stay. You've got some stability with Konecny. I don't think it's a case of he wants to get every nickel, if you will. I think there is some comfort level. He's made a lot of money already, and he's a solid player. But here's the irony. We both work for a radio station, WIP. They just did a list of the top 11, I guess it was, players in the city, although most people only did 10 because that's the normal number. But just to be different, they said 11. Anyway, they did the top 11, and I might have been the only one with a Flyer in there, Konecny. And I think that's where you're not just looking at goals and assists. You are looking at the fact that he's a very popular player. He's an energetic player. He's a player that excites the crowd. And I think that's worth something in Philadelphia. I mean, even if you're looking at this in really cold terms, if it was a really cold term, I'm looking at this and I'm the general manager, I'm Danny Briere. I'm like, well, he's going to be 30-something at the end of this thing. We've got young guys coming up. We've got Barkey coming up. We've got some kids coming up. We've got Mitch Cobb coming over. Do we really want to have that number on the hook for that number when he's 33, 34 years old?
Right.
And I might say, you know what, I don't know that I need that. But I think it's important in Philadelphia to have that guy here. So I would think they get it done. They've managed to go around all those potholes before. I'd be shocked if it was 10 million, although cap's going to go up. I think they're going to settle on a, Timo Meyer number, maybe around 8.5, something like that, which is, I mean, for the money, he's already made, 23 million around there. So, I mean, he's already pocketed a lot of money. Everybody wants to get their bag eventually. But the thing is, Ashlyn, it doesn't have to be 8 years. Everybody's just going on 8 years. If I'm Konecny, I might bet on myself to take a 6 or whatever, and then think, okay, if this Mitch Cobb comes over and then, things start to light up here, I got another kick at the can for big bucks down the road.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, if I were his agent, I'd go that way.
Yes.
But, agents like to get their money up front.
Of course, you get it. You can both sides, but it seems like that would be the perfect meeting of the middle. Is if I'm TK, do I really want 8 years not knowing what this will bring in 8 years? And I agree that 10 million is drastic, but I wouldn't be shocked if we see it and he gets that either.
Yeah, I wouldn't be sure. I'd be surprised if, that's a ton. I mean, that is a ton for a guy whose stats aren't. They're not really. I mean, but you look at other comps. I mean, he's not a Marner, but and to get paid as a winger is unusual, although there's more and more of it going on in this league. It's the centermen that really make the engine go usually. But just us, I mean, when we go to a game, when we cover a game, that's the guy our eyes are on all the time. We're going to do, it's the guy when you come into the arena and you go to the pregame skate or whatever, it's the guy you're watching. He's the most exciting, even when he does bonkers things. And then plus, it's no small fact that, John Tortorella, there aren't many guys that play like that he really loves the way he plays because he can put up with mistakes. But he does it. And how many times he's mentioned over and over again, he drives me crazy, but I love him. Yeah, so I think that's going to have some input too. So one way or another, he'll be here. I'm hoping it's not I'm not even worried so much about the dollar sign. I'm worried about the number. I mean, if I were him, I'd go for I'd go for a lesser than the 8 years and bet on myself at the end of it.
I totally agree, but I think we all can agree that this is going to get done, and it needs to happen, especially so. When we did that list for WIP, you weren't the only one. Buzz, our producer, put TK as number 11. And the host of the Flyers, I feel a little guilty. I didn't put him on my list because I think you have to relate to everything going on in Philadelphia right now. And maybe that's the reason and the issue with an 8-year deal is I feel like he's not quite there yet. He's not to a Bryce Harper level. He's not to the level of you look at the Flyers and say, that guy changes the game. Does he help? 100%. But I can't sit here and say confidently that he absolutely changes the Flyers right now.
No, but if you throw in, you have to look ahead here. So ideally, I believe that their eyes are 2 years down the road. Mm-hmm. You have Bonk, you've got Barkey coming up. The real guy to me that's going to get paid is York.
Yeah.
That's the guy that I would get done now. I mean, I know everybody's looking at Konecny, what he's got going on, and with the situation where he is in his contract. If it was me, I think York is their best defenseman. And I think he, as much as Konecny, is going to be a team leader.
Yeah.
And if I were going to, and then I'm looking at, this is the way you build a team. And this is the way you really build a team from the defense out. So they've got this Bonk coming up too. They've got defensemen coming up. If I had to say, where's my priorities, York would be number one priority.
That's a great point. And no one's thinking about that because it's Cam York, but the vibes would be high if Cam York got paid. That's for sure. And you already have Travis Sanheim locked up. And with the questions around Rasmus Ristolainen, I think to have solidity there with your top pair would be huge.
Yeah. So, that's the way they're going to do it. And I know people get tired of hearing about, well, it's a year down the road. They're going to be competitive. They're going to be fun to watch again. But, it's the eyes on the prize are still a year to two down the road.
Big time. Yep. But good things are happening, and good things are happening really across all of the NHL. We've had so much change and coaching changes and a lot going on. And I've always loved my first 2 years here with the Flyers, seeing this rivalry grow with the New Jersey Devils. And I heard so much about the Penguins and the Rangers, and they lived up to advertise. But I thought those Devils games against the Flyers last year were some of the best all year. The Devils, they had a new head coach. They have a star-studded roster. And you look at this, you think, how can they not make this work?
Yeah, that's the thing. This is the trap you kind of fall into a little bit when you say, well, the Flyers almost made the playoffs, so the next step will be the playoffs. So you got to remember, the Devils, I thought, underachieved, which is why they've got a no coach here. And somehow they got to get a goalie. I don't understand. They waited so long. It was just stupid to me.
With the roster they have, you're wasting it.
Yeah. And, Hughes got banged up. They had some injury issues, as does every team, but they had a lot. And this coach, I think, will really help them, just the coaching change that they had. So that's where I think people get a little bit ahead of themselves when they look and say, well, the Flyers will just get that much better. Well, I think the Devils are going to get that much better. I'm assuming they address their goaltending situation. There's going to be a goalie carousel going on here come July or whatever, just to see who lands where. And, with that coach there. And I think Hughes, much as everybody loves him, and I think he's a great player. I'm talking the forward, Jack Hughes. But I think I saw some mistakes that didn't have to be made. He's given a wide berth because he's such an exciting player. But I think in order to win, he has to play better defensively, and I think that will come into his game here. man, he turned it over a lot. And if I was, I mean, I wouldn't want to put hands on that talent that much, but I think an overall approach by the team might change a little bit. They've got Heischer, who's a terrific two-way player. And now if Hughes plays a bit more defense, I don't even think it'll cost them that much in terms of points and just excitement level, but I think it will help in a team level. And I think that's going to change. So I look at them as a real worry if I'm the Flyers on what's going on in the future.
You should be worried. And it goes on and on with just for Brad. And even with the status of the goaltending situation in New Jersey last year, the New Jersey Devils put it on them, especially in the outdoor series. And that was with the goaltender concern. So you have to imagine if they get this figured out, what this could look like. And this is going to be a rivalry I think we talk about for a long time, years to come.
Yeah, well, we talked about it, they've been such a pain in the neck for the Flyers, and they're going to continue to be with that top-end talent that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And, this is where the Flyers look like, they had the advantage going forward because of the goaltending situation. Then we know how that all got topsy-turvied, and that's why the Flyers are where they are now, just in terms of pecking order, because, we're hoping with the goaltenders that they've got, with the Ersson. It's going to be strange for me to have him coming in as the guy, and then Fedotov, who we really haven't seen, and then the kids they've got coming up in their pipeline. But it's a far different picture in the future with the goaltending flip-flop that they had in Philadelphia.
Yes, it has changed drastically, and something we've been paying attention to all season long, especially in the playoffs. We kind of all thought this day would come, and it's not solidified yet, but have the Rangers run out of magic, because they were magical, especially to start the playoffs. They were so exciting, and they were beating up on teams, clean sweeps. Well, now Florida Panthers take a 3-2 series lead back to Sunrise. They look like they have all the momentum in the world. And in my opinion, watching those games, I think the Rangers have run out of magic. What do you think?
I think the Rangers the magic is their goaltender. I mean, Florida's only ahead 3-2 in this series, and then overtime games. But man, if you just look at, they've controlled the series.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just Bobrovsky's been really good for Florida too. But I mean, Shesterkin's been unbelievable for New York. I mean, I look at the Rangers, and they haven't been able to cash on it. And we always talk about goaltending. They've gone from Richter to the King, and now Shesterkin, and they just haven't been able to provide enough for him. I mean, he's absolutely been the guy that's kept them in. Florida has had large portions of games they've managed to control. But the thing with the Rangers is they've got some skill. The reason the magic might not have run out, and I think it has, because Florida's just played so much better. However, we haven't heard from Zibanejad.
Yes.
He's basically silent in this thing. And we know in Philadelphia what can happen if he gets on a heater. Yeah, and that's where I think they still have a shot here. They're going to live on their power play, and Florida can take some penalties. But I think Florida has earned this series already. That they've proven to me to be the better team. But y'all know what goaltending can do. So it ain't over by a long shot. And man, if it goes to a game 7 and you've got those two goaltenders, I don't know anybody. It's a weird thing. I wouldn't want to bet against the Panthers, but I also wouldn't want to bet against Shesterkin. So this is where everything in hockey, all analytics, you throw them out the window, because when you've got goaltending like that, you just can't decide where you're going to go, because this guy literally, you say steal a game in any other sport, but there's no sport like hockey where you steal a game where some guy makes, even if it's not 70 saves, even if it's like 32, of which 26 are A grade, and that's what he's faced so far. So I think the Magic's run out in terms of overall, but I don't think the Magic's run out in goal. So I think Florida's the better team, but if the Rangers win, it's going to be on the shoulders of their goalie.
It is. It has been must-see TV, and you can only hope for a game 7 like that. I have loved being from South Florida. I got my guy friends calling. They're like, what do you think? What's happening? Like, it has been so cool to see a city buy into this, and I think it's so good for hockey, because that Florida Panthers team has shut down South Florida right now. It's needed, and it's been really cool as someone from there and seeing it from the days where those games there was 15 people in the stands, how far they've come. Really cool.
Yeah, it is cool, but it's also cool in New York.
Yeah.
When New York's, although, in New York, you go, if you go outside two blocks, nobody will know. It gets out.
I
It's
was
just,
at the train station 2 days ago, and they have the advertisements, and you walk past the garden, and you go about your normal life, and I don't see Rangers hats anymore. There's just too much to do almost.
yeah. Well, I mean, except for the Yankees, and
Yeah.
it's like New York's just so you can do anything in New York. You're gonna, it's just too many things going on.
Right.
It's why actually I think it's the biggest fraud in the world when they say the pressure of playing in New York. I'm like, look, let's be real about this.
Philly's pressure.
There's way more pressure in hockey in Calgary and Edmonton and
Oh.
Vancouver and Philly. In New York, everything's so big. Maybe the Yankees, but even the Giants and the Jets, they're over in Jersey. In New York, there's so many things going. You could be the best player in the world, go to a restaurant in New York, and like 75% of the people wouldn't know you. They'd know some bass player from some alt band more than they'd know you.
There's a park around me there too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, half the people are from Nebraska paying 3 times what they should for a steak because they're in New York. They don't know that, oh my God, that's the best hockey player in the world. Or that's maybe the basketball player's tall enough they would know it, but know him. But no, it's like this. I think it's completely farcical that it's the hardest place to play and the pressure. It's not. You can move about way more. Bryce Harper can't go anywhere in Philly. I mean, yeah. Everybody in Philly's basically every athlete in Philly when they go out might as well be dressed up as the Fanatic because they're so recognizable. In New York, you slide in and out. You just there's another guy with a with an Aston Martin. That's just another one.
Yeah, add it to the list. It's so true. And speaking of that, the pressure of the Oilers. And at first it wasn't pressure because no one expected them to be there. It was like this nice little story, this nice surprise. Oh, look what they're doing. Well, now that the series is tied 2-2 and McDavid is playing the way he is, Edmonton is bought in. And if they don't win this, now that's some pressure because they have every opportunity to get to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, and it's a strange team. When we mentioned goaltending on one side, they've had iffy goaltending, let's say. I mean, switch goaltenders, and that's the former Flyers assistant behind their bench who's done a hell of a job pulling people out of the lineup, putting people back in the lineup, making drastic changes. It's been, he's had to push a lot of buttons there. They've got all sorts of pressure there with Nurse having some rough games. Man, it's crazy what's going on in Edmonton. But can you imagine a team that struggled so much? And this is without McDavid lighting up right now to be able to come back and show you that's why I said with the Devils, when they got a guy like Hughes to learn to play some D, look at Edmonton now. If they do beat Dallas and Dallas missing Tanev, and that's going to kind of even the ice level a little bit. But I mean, you see what happens. You have to play that way if you're going to have long-term success. And with Draisaitl and McDavid, though, they can go off any night to just keep it close. It'd be a crazy story to have a team that people had written off as one of the biggest disasters in the league with all that top end talent.
I remember talking about those shows. Yeah, they're done.
Maybe not even being able to make the playoffs. And then boom, here you go. When you've got talent like that and just reasonable goaltending. I mean, they've had there's been some bad goaltending, really bad, and they managed to get through it. And because when they got behind, they didn't lock it down defensively, then kind of crawl back into a game. So this crazy pressure there. And it's just such a small place. When you watch on TV, you see when the game's on the road, the people gathered.
Yes.
It's so small, the crowd, compared to other places when you see what's going on. So it's like, it's pressure and it's big there. But that's why I think the league likes, if it's going to be, let's please have a New York or even Florida come back and kind of balance out the scales.
I agree. It's going to be awesome to see. And right now, really tight series. So we'll see what happens. But that is South Philly Sauce, an Audacy original, brought to you by 94 WIP and Jack Daniels. We will see you next week.